Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny,
Hello.
and we are the Fright Club NI, and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. And on tonight's episode, we're talking about Zack Snyder's 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Louis?
And we're back with another episode of Monday Night Frights. It's episode 3.7, and tonight we're talking about the remake of Dawn of the Dead from 2004 by Zack Snyder. And we're talking about this week because, of course, he has just released Army of the Dead on Netflix. We haven't seen it yet, but hopefully it'll be pretty good. If you have seen it, feel free to leave some comments in the comment section below. Danny, you have seen Dawn of the Dead. You did see it before we watched this.
Yes, I had. It was one of those when I was coming into it, I was like, have I seen this? I'm pretty sure I've seen one of them. Couldn't remember if it was this one or the original. But as I started to watch it, I started getting like flashbacks and being like, yes, I definitely watched this as a teen at some point. Mm-hmm. And then with all the, zombie movies that refer to the word dead in them, you just kind of get a bit. It all kind of gets a bit mushed up, and you're kind of like one zombie to the next. But this, as stuff started to play out in this, I was like, no, I actually very specifically remember this scene and that scene, and something's going to happen, and I know what's coming. So yeah, I've definitely seen this one. What I was quite surprised by was, obviously, I'm watching it again. I'm a bit more aware of like directors and screenwriters and stuff. James Gunn.
James Gunn wrote the screenplay. He
James
did.
Gunn. And I love me some James Gunn. So that was a nice surprise. And then Zack Snyder as well. I didn't realize, obviously, way back when I watched it originally, I didn't realize it was him. So that was quite like, oh. So yeah.
He's went on to bigger and better things, I suppose a lot of people would say now. But, they both have. They both kind of taken over the superhero genre. Mm-hmm. But back in the early days, they were working on horror films like this. And this was actually Zack Snyder's first feature film. Oh. So, which I didn't know. I thought he had maybe done something before this, but James Gunn, of course, had worked on different stuff before.
Scooby-Doo.
He had just done Scooby-Doo before this. In fact, I was reading doing a wee bit of research before this episode, and apparently he got death threats.
Oh.
And there was loads of petitions to try to get him off this script whenever that was first announced. Obviously, Dawn of the Dead. This is a remake of George Romero's classic 1978 film, which is kind of one of those. This film has really been put on the pedestal. It's the standard bearer for all zombie films that came after it. It's a very precious film in the horror genre, and nobody wanted it to be remade, as is always the case with these kind of classic films. But, James Gunn wanted to put a different spin on it, and he wrote the script. But yeah, he got death threats, which is crazy.
It's, what? It's, you get the... I think it's the same for any sort of fan base. You're always going to have those people that just really do not want their ideal touched, but it's good that James Gunn still ran with it, and again, stuff like that never dissuaded him from cracking on with stuff, and I think that's why he is such a fantastic filmmaker now, is because even back then when he was just writing, he wasn't dissuaded from the fact that he was going to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, one of his caveats was that he'd love to do the script, he'd love to write it for a director, but he didn't want any other hands in the pot as such. He wanted to just write his own script. Obviously, these scripts, they get little rewrites here and there, but it was basically his general overall idea that he wanted to put in it, and it's a great script. No, I don't think it's as good as the original. I know a lot of people do enjoy this film. I do enjoy it, but it's not. I don't think it's a touch on the original, but it's a very good zombie film.
I will admit I've never seen the original.
You've never seen the original.
I think if you would like us to watch the original, if you would like me to see the original and for us to talk about it, let us know in the comments below. But I'd gladly, because again, it's one of those things. Zombie movies, I do enjoy zombie movies, but they do kind of start to become a bit of a hodgepodge, mixed pot. You kind of, once you've kind of seen one of them, you've seen a lot of them, a lot of the same tropes and stuff. But I mean, I
Well,
will always hold Shaun of the Dead to the highest regard.
I was going to mention Shaun of the Dead because a lot of the tropes in zombie movies came from the original Dawn of the Dead film,
Yeah.
and Shaun of the Dead, a film that we both absolutely adore and love, which actually came out in the same year as the remake Dawn of the Dead. So, and apparently both production companies were talking to each other in the wake of the release to say, look, we need to make sure that there's a different, there's some time has passed between each film, so that they don't come out directly on top of each other and kind of negate each other's fan base, I suppose, or box office. But yeah, most of the tropes from zombie films came from Romero's original Dawn of the Dead film.
I love that. In I think it was the 2005 Land of the Dead, which funny enough I actually watched after watching Dawn of the Dead today. Romero actually put Edgar Wright in as a zombie in Land of the Dead as just a kind of little like, here, thanks for making a movie inspired by my movies. Want to be in one of my movies? So you got to be a wee zombie. I believe it's in one of the scenes where basically the zombies are being used for entertainment, and there's a zombie Edgar Wright like shackled up. And again, it's one of those things. I knew the fact, I'd heard the fact before, but then watching it today, I went, there's your boy. Love me some Edgar Wright.
I was going to say, we all know how much you love fucking Edgar Wright.
I fucking love Edgar Wright, man. So
not fucking Edgar Wright.
I don't want to fuck. I don't. Let's just
Edgar Wright.
Get one thing straight. I don't want to fuck Edgar Wright. I'm a big fan. And if he would ever come on the show to talk to us,
he's a nice looking gentleman.
Well, he is, but I admire him greatly. And it would be great if anybody knows Edgar Wright and wants to give him our contact info. We would be eternally grateful. I would go proper Wayne's World. We're not worthy. That'd be me the whole time.
I love Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I do love some of his other films, but those two are sort of stick out in my mind as being two of the best.
Scott Pilgrim's pretty great too. Yeah. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Edgar Wright stuff. We're here to talk about Zack Snyder's take on Romero's work.
Romero's classic. But even before we get there, I wanted to show off this here, which I know a lot of the horror fan out there got their hands on this last year.
Very pretty. It's not even opened yet. Are you going to open it?
Of course I am, but I'm waiting, man. I'm being pitched.
Prime time.
Yes.
You're going to sit down and start to unseal it slowly. Ooh.
This is by Second Sight. It was released last year, and it's unreal. Like, the amount of content on here is just shocking. It's got the soundtrack, the Goblin soundtrack. It's got different cuts. It's got Dario Argento's cut. I think, isn't it? The Argento cut is on there as well. So I know a lot of you guys have already bought this. So if you have bought this and you want to post pictures or anything, feel free to go ahead and do that, or tell us what you think of the different cuts. But yeah, that was a big thing that was released last year.
Very nice.
And everyone seems to love the original Dawn of the Dead, and I do too. But we are here to talk about the remake, and I think it stands up as a fairly decent remake. It takes the original plot. It doesn't really change too much about the actual original plot. It adds a few things in here, but it does kind of it changes a few things about it. The main thing is that they decided to go with zombies that can basically run like fuck. Can maneuver like normal people, and even quicker than normal people can. They're sort of super. There's super speed and stuff.
There's a fair bit of athleticism from the zombies in this movie. They're kind of, they leap up on top of things, and as you say, there's a bit of sprinting, and I think there's one point where one kind of like drops down from someone, but it kind of gives itself a bit of a swing, which you wouldn't expect from a zombie. If you saw a zombie drop down from someone, you'd expect them to just kind of plank it, like just ragdoll. But no, these zombies are a bit more lively than the Romero zombies.
Yeah, which I, to be honest, do not like zombies that run very fast and can move like this.
Fast spoopy boys.
I'm a bit more old school. I like the old school zombie.
Old shufflers. You like a shuffler, not a sprinter.
The old droners that are like, ooh. But I suppose they had to kind of make that decision. They wanted to change something, and they wanted to change up a little bit, and I think James Gunn and both Zack Snyder both said that would be a good addition to this, and it kind of does. It is fresh, and it's nice to see. I suppose it is nice to see something different in a zombie movie. As I said, this was Zack Snyder's debut feature film. Obviously, he's went on to
many other things,
bigger things since then. He's kind of become a huge name in the game for good and bad reasons.
He had a whole Twitter campaign basically
Yeah.
For him and stuff. So he has come a long way from making a zombie movie.
He has. I'm not his biggest fan. I will admit that. I like this movie. I enjoyed Watchmen.
Mm. Yep.
I don't mind some of his superhero stuff. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't hate the guy. He's very talented. He's obviously a visionary. He's got his own style. What are your thoughts on Snyder?
I am. Well, I really enjoyed this.
That was like that meme, yes.
Yeah.
No.
It's one of those things I love Watchmen. I think Watchmen is great. I enjoyed this, and then the Snyder cut. I did watch just out of curiosity more than anything, because I didn't like the original, the Whedon cut at all. So I went and watched the Snyder cut, and I was kind of like, yeah, it's an improvement, but it's still like, all right, it's only okay. But then I kind of found out a bit of the context to like why he came back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of, for me, I was a bit like, you know what, Snyder, you're not too bad. Like that sort of redeemed it a wee bit for me.
You're a good one. You're a good one.
You're a good. He had something to kind of say there about, like, obviously he had to step away from the Justice League and stuff due to what happened with his daughter and that. And then when he came back to it, he actually put a lot of that kind of heart that he had from his situation into it. And finding that out, I was a bit like, you know what, respect to you, Snyder. So yeah, but no, I think again we're oversaturated with DC, or well, superhero stuff, but particularly DC. I feel like DC's sort of lost its way, and I don't know, a lot of people are crying out for Snyder to take the helm for them, and I don't know if it's going to help. I'm interested to see what Gunn does with DC with Suicide Squad 2.
Yes.
Or the Suicide Squad. It'll be interesting to see, and maybe those two together could maybe do something quite
nice to see that
nice with DC.
James Gunn and Zack Snyder have kind of come up together a little bit, and now they've kind of had their success and they've had their failures as well. Gunn went through a real tough time with that whole thing about where he got fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy, which allowed him to then go and make Suicide Squad. And he's back now, obviously, with Marvel Disney. But they've come through it, and Zack Snyder's come through all his bad shit, and he's still, no matter what happens, you're going to have haters, and you're going to have shills that are going to love him, and you're going to hate him as well. So we'll not get too deep into the weeds and the whole Justice League stuff, because that's not what this show's about. Yeah. But he did release Army of the Dead, and can't wait to watch that. I've seen the trailers, looks great. Love a bit of Dave Bautista. It does look pretty awesome. The tiger looked cool, so I'm really anxious to see that. It isn't a sequel, though. I just want to throw that out. It's not a sequel. There was a bit of confusion about whether that was a sequel to this, but it's definitely not. He clarified that it's not a sequel. But I assume that he has intentions to maybe do a third Dead movie, and he wants to kind of do like a Dead trilogy of some kind of. That's just me guessing. You would assume that, but yeah, so looking forward to seeing Army of the Dead.
Oh yes.
So the plot of this, as we know, it starts just as some sort of zombie apocalypse happens. It's essentially about just a group of people, strangers, that come together and they take refuge in a shopping mall, which is a fucking phenomenal setting for a film.
It's wonderful. I mean, it works so well as a concept for basically any zombie thing. Like, I mean, this year obviously kind of kicked it all off, but then you had the likes of the game Dead Rising, which the first one I never really played in, I think past the second, but the first one was great fun because you got to experience what it was like for the characters in these sort of movies. Just imagine having free reign. Obviously in this movie they don't really have free reign of the mall. They do for a bit, but there's a lot of stuff that kind of stops them, like at the start the mall security or like, don't go right, we don't want you right going looting stuff, and it's like
who cares? Who
gives a fuck? Like, it's the end of the world. Like, go have fun with all the toys in the shop. Like, why not? But yeah, it's an excellent premise, and I mean, if it came to it, the end of the world, what shop would you go to? Where would you go if it came down to it?
Fuck me, I don't know, man. I don't drink alcohol, but I'd probably hit an off license and get
probably fucking wasted. Just do it.
Aye.
Yeah.
Or no, a toy shop would be.
I was going to say.
I mean, I work. That's where I work, but
yeah,
cool to go to a toy shop and just
I think,
Buy
yeah,
all
I
the
would
toys.
a big department store, or maybe like Tesco or Asda or something. You know, you've all your food, you've the drink, you've also kind of got a few toys and
Aye.
stuff. There's TVs and DVDs and I don't know, they do keep consoles in supermarkets
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. Hopefully, someone's maybe ordered one. They've got it in the back, and then you could
I
just
know.
set it all up and you'd be sorted. Especially if it happened around summertime and there'd be like all the loungers, like garden loungers and stuff set up.
Mm.
That would be nice.
But then you've got the zombies outside trying to kill you, so you
Well,
know
that's true. That's
you have to
true.
weigh up the good and the bad.
You gotta think of the silver linings, not the
I
not the
know.
zombies outside.
I know. The budget for this, Danny, was 26
Oh,
million.
we got them figures. Yeah.
Slap the
26
facts.
million.
Slap the facts.
26 million, that's and then how much did they make?
It made
Or does it make
103 million approximately. So pretty good
Mm-hmm.
back money. So excuse me, it was actually filmed in Toronto. The shop
Mm-hmm.
mall that it was filmed in was due to be demolished. So
Right.
and so that's obviously that was good on them. They could
Handy.
it was deserted, so they could go in and they could they could wreck the place as well if they needed to,
Mm-hmm.
and that worked out really well for them. So I just love the shop mall in this. Obviously we'll talk about the original a little bit, as I know you haven't seen it, Danny, but we'll talk about it a little bit. The original's amazing, and the shop mall in the original is way better. Obviously, it was it was made in '78, so it's got the more retro type style shopping mall.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I've seen the original, but as far as I remember, they do explore the shop mall a bit more, and you see a
Right.
little bit more of it. Rather in this one, you see the main hub where they sort of stay, and you see a wee bit of shops, but they don't really.
Yeah.
There's a montage later on where they kind of do show bits and bobs, but they don't really explore the shop mall in this as much as I
No.
remember in the first one, the
It's
original.
you would like them to go into like there's kind of the sports store, but it's quite dark when they go in there, so you
Yeah.
can't even see. And it's one of those things when you think like in a sports store, the thing that annoyed me was that when the fella goes in, the first thing he picks up is like a billiards mallet,
Mm-hmm.
or not billiards. What do you call it? Croquet. Yeah, croquet mallet.
Croquet, yeah, croquet.
Yeah, he picks up a croquet mallet, and I'm like, there's metal baseball bats, there's golf clubs, anything made of metal over like a thin wooden handle mallet. But that's just me. That's, if I was in a zombie situation, I'm going to grab something that's made of metal over something made of wood. But yeah, it's a very dimly lit. You don't get to really see the sports shop. And then they walk past the toy shop, and I'm like, why is no one going in there to check out the toys? And then, yeah, you only really get like the coffee shop. You get a brief glimpse in like a woman's lingerie shop during, as you say, the montage scene. And yeah, no, you would like to see more. And I think that's what the likes of Dead Rising makes it so much fun. You get to go and explore around the mall. I think there is a curiosity of why do people not go and like look around all the things. I think because that would be in the human instinct is to go and explore and see what you can grab, play with.
Yeah, I suppose it's the thing where they're kind of like they want to be ready to go if they're being rescued, kind of thing. So
Yep.
maybe exploring would be not the first thing that you would think of,
Mm-hmm.
but they get there eventually. As days pass and time has passed. But yeah, so the special effects were done by David Leroy Anderson, who is Heather Langenkamp's husband.
Okay.
And we covered some. What was the film we covered that they did the special effects for recently? I think it was last season. Fuck, I can't remember. Oh god, I can't remember. But yeah, they have a special effects company, and they did the effects for this. The effects are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they're the greatest of all time, or they don't necessarily stand out. I mean, they're basic zombie stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think about the effects?
I think, yeah, as you say, it's sort of they're good, but they are standard zombie fare. It's sort of what we have come to expect from zombies. And again, there's no like, yes, there's lots of like cool headshots and blood going, but there's no real extreme gore. I would say there's no real detailed sort of stuff. Not a lot of guts and stuff.
No,
you know, it's not a very, you know, like sometimes you would see in zombie movies and the zombies are like over somebody and they're like lifting guts out and bits are being ripped off. Not a whole lot of that in this one.
You're actually right. There's a fair amount of blood, obviously, but a lot of the kills are quite quick.
Yep.
You know, like the bullets to the head or the stabbings to the head, and then it just cuts away. And you're right. There's not a lot of time focused on the zombies in terms
of. There's not even, again, yes, you do see some headshots and stuff, but there, again, a lot of cutaways. You just hear the shot, but it cuts away before you actually see it. And again, I don't know if that's maybe something to do with the time in which it was made and there was maybe a move away from violence or portraying violence. You know, it's all implied violence rather than actually us seeing it. But yeah, it's not actually the goriest
could have been
zombie
well.
movie.
It could have been budget restrictions. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't know we know what the budget was because, you know, I'm the facts man. I drop these facts every week, apart from that 1 week where I forgot. Damn. I'll have to go back and edit that video. But yeah, so
just you dropping in, being like, here's the numbers.
I know. But yeah, so it could have just been a budget issue. But no, it's you watch a zombie movie, you expect certain things, and we got most of the things from this film. I think now, looking back, you know, with The Walking Dead, which I don't really want to get into too much, but the zombie genre is just way too much of it in my opinion.
Definitely, you need to do something new with it, or you need to explore other avenues with it. I feel like Romero is very good at giving his zombies character. He kind of always, yes, there's the horde of zombies, but there's wee individual characters in the zombie, because even if you haven't necessarily, like I've not seen Dawn of the Dead and a few of the other ones, but I know of like Tar Zombie and you know, there's specific ones, whereas this movie didn't really have any sort of standout zombie. It didn't have any particular sort of ones that you were like, oh God, wasn't that one terrifying?
Well,
because they were all just the same, apart from
there's one.
No, two. I would say two, but again, it's because something I've said before. Children in horror movies freak the fuck out of me.
Yes, we have the kid at the start.
We have the kid at the start, and then we have
the kid halfway through or near the end.
Baby zombie.
Baby zombie, which
is like.
No, I'd seen this movie before, but for some reason I knew there was a zombie baby, but that whole third act, I couldn't even remember. I was watching going, I know I've seen this. Like, I've watched this film. I remember the start. I remember all the middle part, all the shop mall part. And at the end, I was like, I don't know how this ends. Like, I can't remember. I must have just drawn a blank at the end. But the zombie baby was definitely one that, you know, stuck with me.
You remember, because as soon as I saw I think it was seeing the couple and you see her pregnant. And I was like, fucking zombie
Here we
baby.
go. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Like, Romero was just the god of zombie films, and they weren't even called zombies in his films, and they don't say the word zombie in this either.
They were just they were just the dead.
They were just the dead.
Because then Romero, am I right in thinking Romero's are the dead have risen, whereas this movie kind of implies it's more of a virusy type thing. Yeah.
It's they never really fully explain it.
It never really goes properly into it, but I think the implication with the fact that we open up in a hospital and they're discussing this person who's come in and they've been bitten, but why are they being taken for he goes for a brain scan.
Yeah.
He goes for a CAT scan.
But what's the origins of the bite? You know, where did that come from? Where, you know, was it a bat? Fucking hell, let's not go down that road. But
there's definitely, I reckon, in the next sort of year or so, we're going to see like a spike in zombie movies because of the COVID outbreak. There's going to be
there's already been
infection. Well, yeah, there has, but I think we're going to see some more infection movies,
infection type movies, which I'm not a massive fan of those infection type. I don't mind zombie movies, but
what about ape movies with infections?
Oh yes, yeah, ape movies. All here for the apes, man.
All here for them apes.
I know. And we know you're a massive Planet of the Apes fan because of your tattoo and your bust behind you.
Little Caesar.
So, Little Caesar, great film by the Coen Brothers. Anyway, I know it was Hail Caesar, wasn't it?
Hail Caesar, yeah, yep. Little Caesar's the pizza place.
Yes, it is. Yes, I was like, you knew something called Little Caesar. What the fuck is it? It's a pizza place. But another great thing that Romero does in his movies that we don't quite see in this is, there's always kind of a message in his movies, and I think in this one, it was kind of more of a basic, let's just make a zombie film, let's just have it action-packed, let's have fast-paced zombies, let's have fast-paced action, and let it be about them just trying to survive and get away in the end, which, is essentially what The Walking Dead does. I know, obviously, because it's a series, it's drawn out a lot longer, because they have to do that. But, The Walking Dead took a lot from this kind of idea of surviving, And other games as well, like, Resident Evil, you mentioned what did you mention?
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising.
Resident Evil, Dead Rising, Left 4 Dead.
You look at something like The Last of Us, which is about an infection type disease, I suppose.
Such a deep story.
Yeah,
such a resonating story. It's
obviously, it's very, very story based. But the beginning of that game, where there's, they're trying to escape and they're driving through town in the car, and then they have to go out and they have to run, and there's madness, chaos happening everywhere. That was a big throwback to the start of this film, because the start of this film opens up, and I just loved the opening. It's very vibrant as well. The colors are really, really vibrant, like oversaturated, which that's a bit of a Snyder thing, I suppose. He actually he goes the other way as he progresses, but the start of this film is very, very vibrant, and then the chaos that ensues.
Yeah.
Whenever we initially see that first bite, and Anna, the character who's played by Sarah Polley, who's a fantastic actress, she does a great job of portraying that sort of what the fuck is happening on her face as she's trying to escape.
Yeah, absolute panic is incredible. I love, even before we kind of get to that, it's she's just leaving work, leaving the hospital, and it immediately sets you up for a scare when she's leaving. She sees the legs hanging out the ambulance. And you do automatically, if you're watching, chances are you're watching it because you're into zombie movies, and you see that and you automatically go, that's the zombie, that's the dead, and they're going to rise up, they're going to jump out at her or something. But then the person does rise up, and it's just an ambulance worker going on call. And I think I thought that was nice, because it's very self-aware for a zombie movie to kind of include that kind of, you see legs dangling, you automatically assume they're dead, but they're not, it's fine. And it almost kind of lulls you into a full sense of security for a wee while, until then little girl appears in the hallway and does a big spook.
Yeah, the little girl, that fucking hell, she's
with her lips ripped off.
That was cool. That was really good. That was cool. That was actually very good makeup. Or part of her lip was missing. I think they sort of did that in The Walking Dead as well, wasn't there? The very first season of Walking Dead, they had like a little girl
zombie. Yeah. I can't mind what exactly that was, but yeah, no, they had child zombies as well. Which again, was that a thing in the original Dawn of the Dead movies? Did they have many sort of children?
There was a kid at the start of the original one as well. I'm pretty sure. Oh god, I've probably got that wrong. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm sorry. I'll probably get corrected.
This just gives I'm pretty sure to go watch it now.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it gives me an excuse to open up this fucking box set and watch all the different cuts. But I'm pretty sure there's a kid at the start of the original one too, which is shocking. That's fucking shocking.
It's I imagine it probably was, for especially if it's in the original, it was probably a big thing at the time, just kind of like showing an undead child who has the strength and just ferocity to attack an adult.
I know.
That probably was for people a bit like, whoa.
I know. So we mentioned Sarah Polley there. She is a director now. She's been in loads of films. Have you seen much of her work before?
No, I don't think so. What's she?
I remember first seeing her in a film called Go, which I think was out in about 98 or 99. I saw it in the cinema. And it was, oh man, what a film. It was a fucking brilliant film. Basically just about a group of friends and strangers who kind of their stories interact, and it's set over one night, I think, and kind of about drug dealers and mad nightclubs and bit of sort of criminal activity on the side, and their paths cross and all. But it's a very good film. But I remember seeing her in that. She was obviously a bit younger then. She's been in other things over the years, but she's went on to become a pretty good director now, I think. And it also stars Ving Rhames, which, Ving Rhames from Pulp Fiction.
Yep. Yeah.
who, you know,
So good.
cemented itself in cinematic history as, you know, in Pulp Fiction, and then he's done loads of things since then. But
Yeah, it's really good. I feel like the cast overall, the main sort of players in this film are really good. But I did feel that there was maybe too many at times.
there was
Like
definitely way
sometimes,
too many.
you know, you could have cut a few of those characters out. There was sort of no need, for quite a few of them. The one that really surprised me was Ty Burrell
Mm-hmm.
appearing. I completely forgot he was in it. So when he appeared, I was like, "Oh fuck, it's the dad from Modern Family,"
I
and
know,
then he's just being a complete arsehole.
I
He's
know.
such a what a character change. Obviously, this came out before Modern Family,
Mm-hmm.
but just the versatility in him to go from being able to play like a real like smarmy arsehole to lovable idiot dad. Um, but again, his character, bar being an asshole and the owner of the boat, not a big lot else. You still have enough assholes in there. Did you really need another one? You know?
I think obviously you get the security guard at the start, and
Mhm.
I can't remember the name of the actor. He's a fantastic actor.
With the
Um,
handlebar mustache.
but he actually his
He's the
character
redeemable asshole.
yeah, he
Yeah.
progresses quite a bit throughout the film, and he becomes like a really good guy, and he saves them all at the end and stuff. And
Yep.
you know, he has redemption. So I suppose that maybe it's the other way about, where when you first meet Ty Burrell's character, he is a bit of a dick, but you don't realize how much of a dick he is, and then
Yeah.
he just keeps being a dick.
Is he not maybe he's like a TV evangelist or something? Did they not introduce him as a TV evangelist and then it turns out he's actually just
Con man.
scum? Yeah.
Is there a difference, really?
Is it something like that? Yeah, wow.
Are they not
Yeah.
all the same? I can't remember if I can't actually remember. But
It was something like that, and I just remember it's just basically an arsehole the whole
I
time.
think there's way too many. You're right. There's way too many
Way
characters in
too
it.
many.
The one thing I will say about this film, they try really hard to hit you with emotional parts, emotional moments, and I think most of them fall quite flat.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that.
Whenever the second group, when Ty Burrell's character, I can't remember his name, whenever he arrives in the van with the other people, and you sort of get to meet them for like literally about 3 minutes, and then you find out that one of them's been bitten and they have to kill him.
Yeah.
They build that moment up to be like, oh, this is a big massive thing. Oh, they have to kill this guy, and he's cuddling his daughter, and he says like, let me be. And we haven't been attached to him, so it doesn't really feel like a moment. And they do that a few times later on. It doesn't really land.
I think
for me.
you feel more for the cop character who has to shoot him, because you're kind of like, you seem like a decent person. You shouldn't have to kill somebody, but he also is fully aware that once they turn, they're not actually human anymore. But yeah, as you say, we don't know the character. We have no care for these characters. Why not just have them turn and create conflict rather than try and make an emotional thing out of it?
Yeah, it just didn't stick with me, the emotional moments. The only kind of moment that I thought was kind of nice was at the very end, whenever they're on the boat and the guy he's realized he's been bitten, and he's like, look, just go on without me, and then they sort of sail off.
Yeah, but again, we've had the time. We've had the time to get to know him, and we kind of understand they have a bit of a thing going on, and it's for the greater good. But yeah, there's so many moments, and even the zombie baby moment, because you can kind of feel it coming, and your fella's sort of like, you wanna kill my family, and it's meant to be like a really poignant moment. Like he's that diluted by the idea of family that he doesn't even care that his child and wife partner are zombified. But it's still just kind of, and even the fact that they've had to shoot a baby, it really passes over really quickly, because it's a cut at the moment. You just hear the gunshot, and you don't really have time to process that they've just shot a baby. Even if it is a zombie baby, they've still shot a baby. But it kind of just blows over, and you're like, yeah.
That's kind of the whole theme of the film, is that it's really quick, it's action packed. The zombies can run fast, they turn really quickly, everything's really quick. There's no time to process it, and maybe that was what they were going for, and they wanted to kind of keep that theme going throughout, even the emotional moments. But some of them just didn't stick with me. But I loved the inclusion of some of the original cast. Tom Savini comes back as the sheriff at the very start.
When he comes in, because again, character I forgot appeared in it, and I was like, "Sex Machine!" Hey,
I know, I know. Very small role, obviously. He's the TV sheriff, but I love Tom Savini.
We got a Twitcher.
I know, it's like really good comedy timing. It's for such a short line of dialogue. He's just got great comedy timing. And then Ken Foree, who's played he was the kind of guy who was like, what was he? He was like the evangelist. He was like, the dead or the sins of
appears on the TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Ken Foree. He was in the original.
Was it when hell is full, the dead will rise up to the earth?
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Yeah, that's a line from the original as well. That was like the tagline from the original movie, and that was kind of nice at the end. But I thought it was funny because he was like, "Oh, you lay with other men and you have same-sex marriages and you do this and you do that." And it's just like, fucking hell, here we go.
Every excuse going.
People still actually believe that. It was whenever the COVID thing hit, sure, we had fucking a local DUP politician who was out like, it was gay people that caused this.
Yeah, because you allowed gay marriage. You passed the constitution for gay marriage. Like,
you fucking idiot.
Hey, how annoying. Honestly, like, if there was ever a zombie outbreak, could you imagine? Could you imagine what them boys would be like? It's the end of days.
I know.
Down with this sort of thing.
That's what happens when you shag other men and lay with the same sex.
And you get a vaccine from Bill Gates.
I know.
Imagine all the vaccinated are going to turn.
Exactly. Well, do you know what? If we turn, man. I'm here for it. Do it.
Yeah, mate.
I'd rather be the one that turns than the one that has to survive and kill everyone. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I think it would depend. It would depend on It depend on how many people I knew had turned, whether or not I would do what I would want to do, if you know what I mean. And like, I think if everybody I'd ever known had turned, I'd be like, well, fuck it, might as well join the party. Right. But there was still like a good cluster of people I knew that we could go out and band together. Then I'd be like, let's go, guys, let's do it.
I know. That's true. But all my loved ones have been vaccinated now, so I kind of have to lean towards the vaccinated ones. So
you don't come with me and my
zombies for life
armored up Corsa.
Nah, here, if you want to shoot me, man, go for it. Like, I'll let you shoot me. I'll let you be the one to do it. But nah,
I'll just do it.
When we go offline, we'll have to sign a contract.
Yeah.
If I ever turn into a zombie,
if I ever turn into a zombie, you have my permission. Jesus. Hopefully, it'll never come to that. Though it'll be fine. This is all. It's all fiction. It's all right.
It's all fiction. No, but yeah. So I thought it was actually kind of funny whenever they got to the shopping mall, the Metropolis. They talk about Metropolis being, and I thought it was kind of funny since Zack Snyder that would go on to become the DC man,
Superman
to reinvent Superman, I suppose, for the modern age.
Yes.
But what was your favorite moments from the movie? We'll talk kind of about your favorite and your less favorite moments.
Some of my favorite moments. Well, I already said about the opening with the ambulance driver. I don't know, that really sort of stood out for me. Was that moment with the ambulance driver. And then the kind of zombie moment.
Just talking about the opening there. The opening, I love how it opens and then it goes to the titles.
Johnny Cash actually soundtrack for
this. The titles are very similar to Watchmen, because obviously over the titles of that it's Bob Dylan.
Times Are Changed.
And this time it's Johnny Cash, The Man Comes Around. And it's the same sort of style where it's like pictures and
news flashes and zombie, and then the title credits and stuff. Yeah, really fantastic soundtrack. And I loved that they had the Richard Cheese coming down with the sickness cover.
Oh man.
That was when amazing. That comes on, you're just like, coming down with the sickness. I love it. I absolutely love it. So again, fantastic soundtrack. And I wonder how much, because you see it a lot in Gunn's work, he is fantastic at a needle drop. And I wonder how much influence Gunn had on the soundtrack. It seems like something he would write into his screenplay is, this is a moment for this track. I think I've heard maybe, I'm not sure if it was him or it's probably Tarantino, but I think they actually write into their scripts what tracks they want played, they want the needle drops in. I think they both work in a very similar way.
Yeah, I definitely know Tarantino does that.
Mm-hmm.
But then he writes mostly for himself anyway. But
yeah,
that'd be interesting.
But I think Gunn maybe does something similar because especially with Guardians, his needle drops in those films are fantastic. So yeah, the soundtrack, the opening scene, what other sort of moments do I really like? I like it. I like the montage scene, but only because we do get that moment of seeing them exploring the mall and having a bit of crack. It's them being human in a situation that is completely devoid from society. And
I really like the inclusion of the sign guy who was on the building.
Oh yes, the guy who owns the gun shop.
Aye.
Yes, I really like that. You know what else I especially loved about this movie, and I'm sure we both loved.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
The dog didn't die.
The dog survived. Yeah.
The dog didn't die.
I have written in my notes. Chip survived.
Chip survived. And the fact that when they were lowering him down, and I was because I couldn't remember if anything happened. I was like, see if that fucking dog dies. Oh, I'm ready. I was like, I'm gonna be ready to fucking shout about it on here. But no, the dog survived, which I was really happy about.
I like that the zombies only go after warm human flesh.
Yeah,
they do. It's not everything. It's just human flesh. So
just humans. Yep. Just I wonder, did they just look at dogs and
humans?
Be like,
I know.
Me want human meat. But yeah, so the dog survived. So that was something I had to pop in as well because I was like, we will both agree, dog surviving, A-okay.
That's the main thing. And I love the sign guy. I love Andy. I love the messages across. I thought that was just like
playing chess and stuff.
Yeah, it was a funny during the montage where they're playing chess and that, but it was also quite a heartwarming moment because especially with Kenneth. What was the cop called? Bing Reams's character.
I can't mind his character's name. I think you might be right with Kenneth or something like that.
He's like quite a hard-nosed character at the start, doesn't give much away, and then he starts to communicate with Andy in the other building, and then they're back and forth constantly, and he's you see a wee bit of a character growth in him because he obviously cares for Andy, and then he's the one that has to take him out later on after he gets bitten, which is that was quite
it's sad. That moment. It's the moment where they're first talking to him through the walkie-talkie. The dog's Chips just got in with the supplies in the walkie-talkie, and he's talking to him. He's like, "Oh, it's great to finally hear your voice." And yeah, it is a nice moment. But again, unfortunately, those developed nice moments are over too quickly.
Yeah,
and the underdeveloped nice moments are also over too quickly that you don't have a chance for it to develop out.
Yeah, and I think I love James Gunn as a writer, and I like nearly everyone that acted in it, but there was something that was just a little bit off with some of the writing, and maybe it was some of the delivery with how the actors delivered it, but it just didn't. It just was something a little bit off. I don't know, that line where Andy's like, "Oh, I've been bitten real hard here," it's kind of like it was a bit on the nose for me maybe, but I suppose you have to sort of assume that it's easy for us to say that, oh, a zombie, if he bites you, you're gone, but
they don't know it.
They don't know what the hell's going on, so I suppose but it was just maybe a little bit on the nose. But I just love that whole montage scene with the chest, and then when they're taking guys out and he's like, "Oh, kill Burt Reynolds."
That's it. Yeah,
kill Rosie O'Donnell.
Kill Rosie, and then someone goes, "Oh no, give him a harder one than that."
I know.
I was like, I like that. That was good. Yeah, the montage scene I think was one of my favorite ones. One of the scenes that I was kind of like, I kind of just thought was a bit silly is when they're preparing like the armored bus, and I'm like, suddenly everyone's a fucking engineer and welder.
I know.
Yeah, you get no real kind of context as to any of these people being professional enough to construct that. But yet they're able to build like a full-on fucking plow on the front of it, and they also take the time to spray paint it, which I was kind of like, if you're in that situation, are you really going to take the time to spray paint giant teeth?
I suppose it's just a bit of a homage to the A-Team style, the 80s kind of style of filmmaking as well, which probably James Gunn and Zack Snyder obviously grew up on.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I did like the opening, like how we talked about the chaos of the opening sequence. I really enjoyed that, and I quite enjoyed the montage scene in the middle there. But outside of those scenes, it was a fairly generic zombie film in terms of there was no characters that I gravitated towards. We didn't really have enough time. We keep saying this. We didn't really have enough time to, fall in love with any of the characters really. I did enjoy Sarah Polley's performance. I thought she's great.
Again, doesn't get enough screen time.
Nah.
Does not. If it maybe just solely focused on her more, we maybe would have appreciated.
I do like
more,
that.
But
later on in the film, after the montage, you sort of start to see that she has kind of stepped up a wee bit as a leader. Because whenever we get the zombie baby scene,
yep,
those characters have kind of partitioned themselves off into a private area, and they're not really sure what's happening with the wife because they haven't seen her in a while. They're like, "Oh, I haven't spoken to her in a while, so I'll go and see her." But it's the old lady that goes in to check on her. But everyone's standing back, and the only person that goes forward is Anna. So she's clearly positioned herself as the leader, or the group has positioned her as the leader anyway. And I really like the development of the security guard character, because he actually, at the start, he's a real dick, isn't he? And then
he's an arsehole. He makes sure they're locked away, and he decides when they go to the toilet and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
It's sort of in the beginning. You would imagine if you've seen The Walking Dead, you'd be like, "Oh, this is going to be like the moral character who kind of breaks the group up and all that sort of stuff." But he actually turns out to be a really good guy and a hero in the end, because he saves them. He sacrifices himself. He blows the truck up at the end and stuff. So, and he kind of takes a step back. But there's a great line at the start where it sets up what most of these kind of zombie films do. A lot of these films that are about groups contained in small areas. Somebody asks, I think when they first meet him, they ask him about, "Oh, we need to be here, or we need to do this to survive," or something like that. And he says something, "These are all your problems, not mine." And that's a major theme of a lot of these survival movies, because it ends up being about human versus human rather than human versus zombie. You don't really get it much. You get a little bit at the start of this, but eventually they become a decent group. You see it quite a lot in Walking Dead. I mean, every season is about group versus group or something like that. But
I think I do prefer. I really like it when something like that is done well, though, when it's more of a human story than necessarily the horror of zombies. Like I've talked about it before, but that Netflix original Cargo with Martin Freeman is a fantastic zombie movie with very little zombies in it. It's more about Martin Freeman as a father trying to find a safe place for his daughter, and it's a really, really well told story. But again, as you say, a lot of it does come down to how people react in an incident like that. Also how selfish people are, really. I think that's the real horror of all, how selfish humanity is.
The real horror of most of these films is the decline of society and humanity just turning into shit. And I know in a lot of Romero's films, especially his earlier films, he would try to focus on stuff like that, and he would use the dead as a symbol for something else. In Dawn of the Dead, the original, it was very much about the deathly sort of hold that consumerism has on everybody. Because they're in a shop mall, and all these shoppers just out of instinct come to this shop mall because that's what they would have done on a Saturday afternoon or whatever it was. But some of his other films, that tends to approach, race and hierarchy within different race classes, and also, the control that the media has on certain things. And I mean, it's scary that we've seen some of that recently with the COVID in the last year, and how the media can really control something, and that shit's real, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I mean, even that for everything that does get reported, there's going to be deniers of it. I reckon if there was a zombie outbreak in reality, people would still deny that it's happening.
Yeah,
you'd still get people going on Facebook going, "They're not zombies. It's all a government conspiracy. It's all deep fakes." And you'd be like, "No, my granny got ate." So
I know. Or else they would automatically forget about what's actually happening and just start blaming people. Oh, I told you it was Bill Gates, and oh fuck, all those gays, they shouldn't have fucking done that. And, you know,
Bill Gates installing everybody with
I
zombie
know.
technologies.
But some of the things I didn't like about it, I've already mentioned. You know, it's kind of a basic zombie movie. Not much character development really, apart from the couple that we've mentioned. Not a big fan of the fast zombies. How are you on the running?
I don't mind the running zombies. I think they're okay. I like that there's varieties in zombies because again, I think if you were like a diehard zombie fan, but you'd seen all the shufflers beforehand, then you know a sprinter might make you a bit like, oh, okay, cool. I think that's why again with the likes of we said about The Last of Us, the interesting thing about that is that they're actually like fungal, sort of airborne spore based zombies.
Disease ridden.
Yeah, I like variety in my zombies. But as we've sort of said before, the zombie genre. Is it? Would you call it a genre? But yeah, the whole kind of take on zombies is a bit saturated. We've kind of what can they do next with zombies? You know.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm interested to see Army of the Dead because it looks a bit different.
I haven't actually seen the trailer for it, but I did see the way they kind of put up like the image for coming soon and stuff, and I saw the tiger and was like, oh, that looks kind of cool.
So Shaun of the Dead, one of the best.
Shaun of the Dead's still the
zombies out there.
favorite one. Yeah, I absolutely, and that is probably my favorite zombie movie. You know one I didn't like? What did you call the one with your boy who was in Skins and played Beast in X-Men?
Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies. Oh,
no, I didn't like it.
Not a fan.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite good.
I haven't watched it. I went to the cinema to see it when it first came out, and I just remember thinking like Romeo and Juliet was zombies. Meh.
It was based on a book, wasn't it?
I think so.
There's another one starring Dean DeHaan and Aubrey Plaza. Life After Beth, and she gets bitten, and then they think she's dead, but they realize she's turned into like a zombie like character. And then they have to keep her alive type thing. And it's not a bad one.
I think I've heard of it. I don't know that I've seen it, but I've heard of it. But there's so many, like again, ones like that there that I've started kind of move away from the initial idea of outbreak and what happens when it becomes a bit more of like a focus thing, like the Santa Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore. I think is really great, really fun idea on the whole undead zombie notion of, well, what happens if it's more of an isolated incident rather than a widespread incident?
Yeah.
How do people try to cover up then the fact that they are undead and need human flesh to survive?
I prefer the more isolated films that are contained within a certain, widespread area or a certain town or a group of people or whatever. I don't really like this whole end of the world because I think that's kind of like once you go to that, it's like, where do you go after that? You can't go any further than that, so so I'm definitely going to check that one out. And I haven't actually watched that one with Drew Barrymore. I know it got cancelled recently, didn't it, on Netflix? Yeah. But everyone's always telling me to watch it, so I'll get around to watching that eventually.
It's good. It's fun.
So another one of the worst scenes in the movie, I think, we talked about the montage, and just after the montage, they're talking to Andy. And he's like, "Oh, I'm hungry." So that's whenever they send the dog over. Fucking bastards. But thankfully it worked out. It worked out. He survived. He did his job. He got in.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. But unfortunately, some of the dead got in as well and ended up killing Andy. And then is it Nicole her name is? Nicole. Yeah. She goes over to get the dog. And it's just, for me, she gets in and they're on the fucking walkie. They're like, oh, Nicole, are you there? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. Andy's coming down. And they realize Andy's been bitten. And they're like, Ving Rhames' character is shouting to whoever's on the walkie. I can't remember who's on the walkie and who's shouting, but somebody is telling the person on the walkie to tell Nicole to get out. And he's like, tell her to get out now. Tell her to get out. And he's like, Nicole, are you there? She's like, yeah, I'm here. And he's like, you got to listen to me. Are you there? There's something I need to tell you. And you're just like, tell the bitch to get out. Why are you fucking not telling her? And then all of a sudden it goes and you're like, oh, that was the worst.
Just not faffed.
That was the worst. I was literally, man, I was just screaming at the scene, or screaming at the TV, just going, I fucking hate this guy. I hate this scene. I know that, you know, tension and just building tension and all that, whatever. But come on, like, it ruined the whole scene for me.
That's enough of your faffing.
I know.
Just fucking
Just
tell her
fucking get
about
on with it, would you? But like, just say, get out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Instead of being like, oh, there's something I need to tell you. Oh, are you there?
Are you listening?
Listen. And then he still doesn't say it. Even at the very end of the scene, he doesn't say get out at all. He doesn't say, oh, whatever. He's just like, oh, hide somewhere. What the fuck? It pissed me off. That's my fucking rant done for the day. I love James Gunn, but that was a horrible scene.
You know what? He's come a long way since then. He's come a very, very long way since then.
I know. And also a weird thing that kept happening in the film, and I don't know why. And for some reason, I thought it was going to lead to something. But every time they killed somebody, the camera showed the bullets falling. I don't know if
I was just about to say the scene that kind of cracked me up, because I just was like, what fucking weird B movie shit is this? You know, when you were saying about the old lady walks in, they've just given birth, and he kind of like, she shoots the girl in the head, and he shoots her, but then she shoots him, and then he shoots her, and it's kind of them going like, and then the bullets hitting the ground, and I was like, this is so fucking silly.
I know. I wouldn't have minded it if that was kind of the generic feel of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it was just kind of plumbed it in there, it was very weird, and I really don't understand why they kept showing the bullets falling.
Yeah. Every time there was a shot, it was like,
Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe that was like a theme. Maybe it was like a hidden theme that I don't know why. But they kept, even the shotgun shells kept, when they fell, it kept like doing a slow motion of them falling and hitting the ground, and they really made it into a moment. And I don't know why, but it kind of frustrated me.
Yeah, it would have been fine, I think, for like the one time. But as we all know, Schneider loves a bit of slow mo, so maybe that was his one opportunity to be like, slow motion.
Yes.
Motion bullet casings on the floor.
This is where his obsession with slow mo started.
They all have to have something. I mean, Abrams has his lens flare. Snyder has his slow mo.
Tarantino has his feet.
Tarantino loves his feet.
He loves the woman's feet,
doesn't he? Sucking boy.
But anyway, and then obviously they get away at the end, and you know, some of them die and stuff, and they get onto the boat eventually, and this, you know, some of the CGI's a wee bit ropey, but it's all right. They get away in the boat, and then we have that sweet scene where your man shoots himself, and
well, again, we don't actually see him do it. We don't see a shot, because we just see a shot, and then it cuts to black, and then it fades in with the handycam footage, which again, just sleazeball guy, Tiger being a sleazeball. I
was just kind of like, right, you know, I kind of wish they didn't even show that.
Yeah, because it goes on for the whole credits. Like, it's not even for like a wee bit of the credits. It's the entirety of the credits is this big build up to basically tell us that they didn't survive. Like, I would rather.
Well, we don't fully know. We know they get to the island.
Know, but it's kind of, I feel it's implied by the amount of zombies that we kind of see flash up. And I would have rather have been left even more ambiguous than it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just sailing off into the sunset, perfect.
I agree, because it didn't add anything to it at all.
No. And the dog ran away.
The dog,
we can only assume it's safe because we know the zombies don't attack dogs. But what happens when all the humans run out?
Maybe there was another dog there, and the dog met the dog, and they had to be dog babies, and they're living
Dog Island.
happily ever after.
Happily dog laughter.
I know. Fucking hell! It was just pointless that they didn't need to do that.
No. But again, we get the actual version of "Coming Down with the Sickness" then during the credits.
Yeah. Great song, by the way, by Disturbed. Love the original song, but the cover version that they do earlier in the film was fucking hilarious.
Richard Cheese is, I think his stuff's great. You should he does a lounge cover of WAP.
Wow.
As well as one of his most recent ones. So,
really, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Nice one. But yeah, so that's our episode of Dawn of the Dead. Not massive fan of the movie. Decent zombie
it's all right. It's good popcorn movie. Good popcorn.
It's not a bad remake. It's certainly not up there with some of the worst remakes ever made. This is actually the first remake I think we've covered on the show, isn't it? I think so.
Yes, we were. I think we've referred to remake. We've referred to the Evil Dead remake, referred to the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but this is the first video dedicated to a remake.
Yes, remake of an actual film that has already been made. I know we did
Yes.
Dracula, but it was based on the book rather than a remake of a film. But yeah, so it's not something that we're going to be doing very
Oh,
often.
why lot of no.
You know, because unless we do like the really good remakes, like The Thing.
Well, we did it, but
we
again,
did it.
based
We did.
on the book rather than the actual series movie.
Yeah, the source material was a book, so it's not technically shouldn't be considered a remake in my eyes anyway.
Yeah.
But most remakes are, I think, there's definitely plenty of room for remakes. I know a lot of people shit over them, but some of the remakes are great, and if you can kind of add something fresh to it, then I have no objections, really.
Exactly.
So anyway, what are your thoughts on this movie? What are your thoughts on remakes in general? Do you prefer fast zombies or do you prefer the old school slow zombies? I feel like most people would lean towards the classic style, the original Romero style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you call them?
Shufflers.
Mm-hmm.
Shufflers.
Twitchers. The Twitchers in this were pretty funny.
Twitchers,
Your man is when he's in the pool and he's like, oh.
Yeah, well, and your friend's like, oh, we got a Twitcher.
But anyway, as always, check us out on Twitter at the Fright Club NI and Instagram at the Fright Club NI, and check out the website www.thefrightclubni.com. Danny, what else do they have to do?
They got to like, comment, subscribe, and ding the bell.
And ding that bell.
Ding that bell. Like, comment, subscribe, ding the bell. Do all them things. For we are eternally grateful.
We are. We really appreciate all the love and support that we've been getting so far. We've had a few more subscribers onto our channel, which is great, and we're getting a wee bit more interaction with the horror fam, so we love that. So keep it coming. If you've got any suggestions on what films you'd like to see us ganch about.
Yes. Would you like to see us talk about the original Dawn of the Dead?
Oh yeah.
I'm keen to watch it now. I'm pretty, as I said, I knew I'd watched one of them prior to rewatching this one, and then realised that it was actually this one that I'd seen. So
just talking about, because we were talking about remakes there, one of my favourite remakes of all time is the remake of Night of the Living Dead. So that's going to be one that we're probably going to be talking about. I love the original, but I actually lean towards Tom Savini's 1990 remake, which obviously got the go-ahead by Romero.
I have seen neither.
So there you go.
Yeah,
that's going in season 4 then.
Let's do it.
Definitely. But yeah, so that's the episode over and done with, guys. Keep up with all the love and support that you've been showing us on the socials, and subscribe and tell all your horror peeps. Buy a t-shirt on the website if you can.
Yeah.
Because we're poor and we want money. And until next week, all the best, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.